Welcome to our deep dive into the world of Shi Tiesheng.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at his collection of essays, especially I and the Temple of Earth.
Interesting.
So imagine 1980s Beijing,
Wow.
a time of really immense change in China. And picture Shi Tiesheng, a young man coming to terms with paralysis.
Right.
After being diagnosed with a debilitating spinal condition in his early 20s. His writing becomes a way to explore not just his physical limitations, but also this broader search for meaning in a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable.
What's captivating about Shi Tiesheng's work is that it's not just about disability.
Yeah.
He uses his personal experiences as like a springboard to delve into universal questions about life, death, and the human condition. His essays resonate with anyone who's ever felt lost alone or struggled to find their place in the world.
So tell me more about the Temple of Earth.
Okay.
What makes this place so central to Shi Tiesheng's story?
Well, the Temple of Earth is more than just a physical location. For Shi Tiesheng, it becomes a sanctuary, a space where he can confront his deepest fears and grapple with those existential questions. It's a sprawling ancient park, kind of neglected at the time, filled with crumbling walls, overgrown weeds.
Wow.
And these ancient cypress trees that have witnessed centuries of history.
I can just imagine it.
There's a sense of decay, but also this strange vitality.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the park itself mirrors Shi Tiesheng's own internal landscape.
Right.
A place where beauty and fragility coexist.
That imagery is so powerful.
Yeah.
The crumbling walls, the ancient trees. It's almost like he's suggesting that even in decay, there's a kind of resilience, this persistence of life.
You've got it.
Yeah.
And Shi Tiesheng doesn't shy away from exploring that tension between decay and vitality.
No way.
He describes the interplay of light and shadow in the park.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's using these visual elements to represent his own internal struggles. It reminds me of how other authors, like Virginia Woolf, used setting to evoke a character's state of mind. Do you think he's consciously using the Temple of Earth as a metaphor?
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
And within this setting, this metaphorical landscape, he also explores his relationship with his mother.
Right.
It's a theme that runs through many of the essays.
Yeah.
And it's clear that she played a really pivotal role in his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His mother embodies this incredible resilience.
Yeah.
A fierce love that is both comforting and at times suffocating. Imagine being a parent in 1980s China.
Right.
Your child suddenly becomes paralyzed.
Yeah.
You would do anything to help them.
Right. Of course.
She's constantly searching for cures, clinging to hope, even when it seems like there's none left.
Yeah.
There's this really poignant anecdote where she brings home a sapling
Oh, yeah.
that she mistakenly believes is a sensitive plant,
Right.
thinking it might hold some medicinal value.
And it turns out to be a mimosa tree.
Exactly.
It's such a heartbreaking detail
Yeah.
because it highlights not only her desperation to find a cure, right, but also this clash between traditional beliefs and the reality of his condition. It speaks to the changing dynamics between generations in China at the time.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
That detail really encapsulates her unwavering love,
Yeah.
but also the limitations of traditional medicine in the face of a condition that modern science was still struggling to understand.
Right.
And her love, while deeply moving, is not without its complexities.
Yeah.
He describes scenes of her searching for him in the park, worried sick,
Right.
her silent presence, a constant reminder of his dependence.
It's heavy.
It is.
And after her death,
Yeah.
he grapples with guilt, with a deeper understanding of her sacrifices.
Yes.
And the realization that even the fiercest love can't shield us from pain or loss.
That's true.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the burdens we carry, the sacrifices we make for the people we love.
It does.
But it's not just his mother who populates the Temple of Earth.
Right.
He encounters a whole cast of characters.
He does. These everyday people who also seek refuge and meaning within its walls. So what can you tell me about them?
Well, this is where Shi Tiesheng's keen observations of human nature come to the forefront.
Okay.
He paints these really vivid portraits of seemingly ordinary people
Right.
who in their own ways are also grappling with life's complexities.
Yeah.
There's an elderly couple, their love enduring through time, an aspiring singer practicing diligently each morning,
Wow.
an old drunkard finding solace in his rituals. And there's this image of a bird catcher
Okay.
waiting patiently for a rare bird.
Oh, wow.
It makes you wonder what keeps him coming back day after day.
Yeah.
Is it the hope of catching that one elusive bird?
Right.
Or is it the act of waiting itself, the ritual that provides a sense of purpose?
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
It seems like he's suggesting that even in the most mundane actions, there can be a search for meaning, a longing for something beyond the everyday.
These characters, while seemingly insignificant, they add layers to Shi Tiesheng's own narrative, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He doesn't just tell us about these people.
Right.
He invites us to observe them,
Cocaine.
to contemplate their lives, and in doing so, to reflect on our own.
Right.
He describes a female engineer walking with such quiet grace that he wonders about her life outside the park. She seems to represent this sense of composure, of quiet strength in the face of uncertainty.
And there's his runner friend, always striving for recognition, battling against a system that feels rigged against him. It's a reminder that even those who appear strong are often fighting their own battles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He sees in his friend's struggles a reflection of his own.
Right.
Both are striving for something. Recognition, acceptance.
Yeah.
A sense of purpose within a system that doesn't always reward effort or talent.
Yeah.
It's this shared experience of striving, of facing setbacks, that creates a connection between them.
It's a common thread.
Yeah, it is.
It's fascinating how these seemingly ordinary encounters become woven into Shi Tiesheng's own journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
But his path towards acceptance wasn't easy, was it?
Not at all.
He's incredibly honest about the despair he felt after his diagnosis.
He doesn't shy away from the darkness, from the raw, visceral emotions he experienced.
Right.
He described those early days in the hospital, clinging to the hope that it's a tumor. Because that would mean a chance of recovery, a chance to reverse what felt like an irreversible loss.
That must have been agonizing.
It was.
That flicker of hope followed by the crushing reality of his diagnosis.
Yeah.
How does he navigate that initial despair, that sense of being trapped in a body that no longer obeys?
He's incredibly candid about his thoughts of suicide.
Wow.
About the anger and resentment he felt toward a world that suddenly seemed hostile and unfair.
And this is where the Temple of Earth becomes even more significant. It's not just a place to escape. It's a space where he can confront his own mortality, where he can wrestle with these huge existential questions about the meaning of life and the inevitability of death.
He talks about spending hours there, just thinking, observing the cycles of nature, the decay and regrowth.
Yeah.
And in that process, he starts to find a new way of understanding his own situation.
I'm curious about that shift,
Okay.
that movement from despair toward acceptance. Was there a particular moment or realization that changed his perspective?
He describes this profound realization that death is a certainty for all of us, a festival that will arrive in its own time.
Right.
And with that acceptance, the present moment becomes less terrifying.
Interesting.
It's not about denying the pain or pretending everything is okay.
Yeah.
It's about finding a way to live with it, to find meaning and beauty, even within the confines of his new reality.
That's such a powerful way to frame it.
I think so.
It's like if you know a long vacation is waiting for you after an intense period of work.
Okay.
You can relax a bit, appreciate the process.
Yeah.
It doesn't erase the work, but it changes your perspective, right?
Yes. And that's what happens for Shi Tiesheng.
Wow.
The question shifts from, why am I alive?
Yeah.
To, how do I live now?
Yeah.
And that's where his writing, his observations of others, and his time in the Temple of Earth all converge to create a new kind of meaning. He finds solace in literature, in the words of others who have grappled with similar questions.
Right.
He finds connection with the people he encounters in the park, each carrying their own burdens, their own stories.
Right.
It's not about erasing the pain or pretending everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's about finding a way to live with it, to find beauty and connection, even in the midst of suffering.
There's an incredible resilience in that shift, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
It reminds me of that idea that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
But it's not just about surviving.
No.
It's about thriving, about finding a way to flourish even within limitations.
Absolutely. And for Shi Tiesheng, that resilience is fueled by his evolving understanding of his own situation. He reflects on the story of a young boy just 7 years old who loses the use of his legs after falling from a truck.
Oh, wow.
The boy's innocence, his inability to grasp the permanence of his situation, contrasts sharply with the harsh reality he faces.
Right.
It's a reminder that even in the face of immense hardship, there's a kind of purity
Yeah.
a will to keep going that can be incredibly inspiring.
It's powerful.
It is.
Have you ever experienced a setback that forced you to reevaluate your priorities to find a new path forward?
I think we all have in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments when we're forced to confront our own limitations
Right.
that we often discover a hidden strength, a capacity for resilience that we didn't know we possessed.
It's as though by acknowledging our vulnerability, we open ourselves up to a different kind of strength.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
And it speaks to the power of Shi Tiesheng's writing.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from vulnerability. He lays bare his struggles, his doubts, his fears.
Yeah.
And in doing so, he invites us to do the same.
Right.
He shows us that it's okay to not have all the answers to be broken and still find a way to be whole.
It strikes me that his exploration of disability goes beyond the personal.
Okay.
It challenges us to consider how we as a society view disability. Do we see it as something to be fixed?
Yeah.
Or do we embrace it as part of the tapestry of human diversity?
It's a profound question.
Yeah.
And Shi Tiesheng's work definitely challenges us to examine our assumptions.
Right.
He doesn't present disability as a tragedy to be overcome, but as an experience that shapes perspective, that offers a different way of being in the world.
It's not about erasing differences,
No.
but about recognizing the value in those differences,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And woven into all of this, into his reflections on resilience and acceptance, is his exploration of love in all its forms.
Absolutely. Love is a constant presence in his essays, a force that sustains him through darkness.
Right.
There's the enduring love of the elderly couple, the unwavering love of his mother. And he shares this incredibly poignant story about a friend who becomes paralyzed in a medical accident,
Wow.
and the woman who chooses to love him unconditionally.
It's such a powerful testament to the transformative power of love, isn't it?
It is.
It suggests that love isn't about finding someone who makes life easier.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to face hardship together to support each other through life's inevitable storms.
I think so.
It makes you wonder what those people, his friends, his mother, saw in him that gave them such strength. What did they recognize in Shi Tiesheng?
It's a beautiful question.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw his resilience, his sharp intellect,
Yeah.
his capacity for empathy and profound observation.
Right.
Perhaps they saw beyond his physical limitations and recognized the depth of his soul, his capacity for love and connection, despite the immense challenges he faced.
You know, I think it's interesting that despite his circumstances, he spends a lot of time reflecting on the idea of good fortune. It seems paradoxical, given his situation.
It does.
But it also speaks to his refusal to be defined by his disability.
Right. It's almost like a thought experiment,
Okay.
a way for him to explore the complexities of desire and the illusions of a perfect life. He imagines designing his good fortune in a hypothetical next life.
Right.
He'd want intelligence, beauty,
Yeah.
a healthy body,
Yeah.
the perfect environment to thrive.
But what's fascinating is that he also recognizes the potential pitfalls of privilege.
Yeah, he does.
He seems to be suggesting that hardship, that struggle, can be a catalyst for growth,
Okay.
for developing character, for truly appreciating the good things in life.
Exactly. He ultimately envisions a life that blends intellectual pursuits with real-world experience,
Right.
hardship with love, and the freedom to create. It's not about avoiding challenges altogether.
Okay.
He's seeking a balance, a life rich with both joy and struggle,
Yeah.
because he understands that both are essential for a meaningful existence.
What resonates with me is the idea that good fortune isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about having the inner resources to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life,
Yeah.
to find beauty and meaning even in the darkest of times. What does good fortune mean to you? Is it about external circumstances, or is it more about an internal state of being?
It's a great question to ponder, isn't it?
Yeah.
What truly constitutes a fortunate life?
Right.
Shi Tiesheng's exploration suggests it might have more to do with our capacity for resilience, for finding meaning and connection, despite the challenges we inevitably face.
And that perspective, that ability to find meaning, even in difficult circumstances, seems to be something he cultivates not just through his experiences in the Temple of Earth, but also through his encounters with art, particularly his love of folk music.
That's right. He's drawn to the raw honesty of folk songs.
Right.
The way they capture universal emotions, joy, sorrow, love, loss, in a way that feels authentic and deeply moving.
And he contrasts this with the contemporary pop music of his time, which he criticizes for lacking that same depth. that genuine connection to human experience. I wonder if he sees a parallel between that authenticity in folk music and his own approach to writing. He's not trying to sugarcoat the realities of life with a disability.
Right.
He's laying it all bare, inviting us into his inner world.
Yeah.
And in doing so, connecting with something universal. It makes you think about the power of art to transcend boundaries,
Right.
to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Those folk songs, they're not always polished or perfect, but they're real.
Yeah.
And that's what gives them their enduring power.
They resonate with something deep within us.
Right.
Something that recognizes truth and authenticity. And I think Shi Tiesheng achieves something similar in his essays.
Okay.
He doesn't offer like easy answers or tidy resolutions.
Right.
He grapples with those difficult questions, embraces ambiguity, and invites us to join him in that process of exploration.
He leaves us with more questions than answers.
He does.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying, here's what I've discovered. Now go out and discover your own truths.
Yes, and I think that's a valuable lesson, especially in a world that often bombards us with quick fixes and easy solutions.
Right.
Shi Tiesheng encourages us to embrace complexity,
Yeah.
to sit with discomfort, and to find beauty in the messy, unpredictable nature of life.
So as we reach the end of our deep dive into Shi Tiesheng's work, what are some of the key takeaways you hope listeners will carry with them?
Well, I think Shi Tiesheng offers a powerful meditation on resilience,
Right.
on finding meaning in a world that doesn't always make sense. He challenges us to confront our own limitations, our own fears, and to find beauty and connection even in the midst of suffering.
He reminds us that good fortune isn't about the absence of hardship, but about our capacity to navigate those challenges, to find strength and growth in the face of adversity.
And he leaves us with this really thought-provoking image.
Okay.
Every actor with passion is inevitably a hostage. Every appreciative audience member has cleverly foiled a conspiracy.
Wow.
What do you make of that?
It's like he's suggesting that to truly live, to embrace our passions and pursue our dream, is to make ourselves vulnerable. We open ourselves up to the possibility of failure, of heartbreak, of disappointment.
Of course.
But by sharing our stories, by allowing others to witness our vulnerability, we create connections that transcend those individual experiences.
It's as though those who truly see us, who appreciate our efforts and acknowledge our struggles, they free us from the isolation that fear and self-doubt can create.
Right.
They remind us that we're not alone in our journey.
It's a beautiful and empowering message.
It is.
And I think it connects back to Shi Tiesheng's belief that every person alive must have a most beautiful dream. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I invite you to consider, what is your most beautiful dream? And how will you pursue it? Even in the face of life's inevitable walls.
What steps can you take today to move closer to that dream?
I like that.
Remember, even small actions can create ripples of change. And every journey begins with a single step.